Ashes of Creations. I have been following this game ever since they came out with the Kickstarter way back when. I backed the game a couple $100 way back when, and I have been was kind of disappointed with the BR that they put out, and I was like, I hope they got something out of it. I really wasn't that enthusiastic about it when it first came out. I tried it for a hot minute and let it go, and I was like, another Kickstarter down the drain. But I'm actually well pleased with the gameplay that they released. Again, this came out way back on the 31st, Sunday from March 31st, and they released the gameplay, and it actually looks really solid. Again, Steven, who is the original, he's the lead developer, creative director for Ashes of Creation, and he was an old school Lineage player. And an old school Lineage, when you PK somebody, like when you play a kid killed somebody, your name would go red. So most players' names were white, which is maybe where he got it from, and the names of his group mates were in green. And I think that's how it was also in back in Lineage 2. And so Lineage 2, there was no sides, kind of like in WoW, where you have like the Horde and the Alliance, or in ESO, where you've got kind of like the three-way war that goes on in Cyrodiil. In Ashes of Creation, it's just an open world free-for-all. And I think a lot of players who are super casual may not be ready for that old school MMO justice system that most of us grew up in. Most of us who are like older in our 30s and 40s grew up playing games where there was the ability to PK people, especially in games like in Lineage 2. And Ashes of Creation brings that back. It's one of the things that I think many of us who were looking forward to a justice system in ESO, unfortunately, we lost out because of the super casual players and who wanted to role play as a thief, and they wanted to walk around and kill and murder NPCs, but they did not want to reap the results of having a bounty placed on their head. But in Ashes of Creations, they actually bring it back. And so you have the ability to fight and PK and be PK'd by other players throughout your adventures in Ashes of Creation, which is one of the things that I loved about the game. And we actually see a little glimpse of it of someone who already PK'd somebody, and then Steven goes and he drops this huge barrage of meteors on them, and then you see this other player kind of like whipping them with like a flame lash, and then of course that player is dead. They refer to them as corrupted, right? So instead of a karma system, they have a corrupted system, and you get to see that again also at the 26 minute mark. You'll see it here again, where they're kind of just like on their adventures, and they come across another player that comes around here. I think he pops out of somewhere, and they end up PKing him. You even hear them. You even hear, there he comes. Here comes a poor, unsuspecting individual.
Let's flag and kill him.
Let's flag and kill him.
Oh,
Do it.
And then we get to watch it. Rip. And of course, this is something that is one of the things I've missed in playing MMOs. We got to do it kind of in Ion, obviously in Lineage 2 for years. I played Lineage 2 for, I think, like 8 years. I played Lineage 2, I think. It was a long time. And it was such an enjoyable time way back when. And I had hoped to kind of recapture that same sort of open world GVG, where both the world, you have to worry about the world as well as the players that are within the world. And of course we'll see a little bit of the GVG. There's like one point, I think it's at the 34-minute mark, where they're in their guild hall, and they end up getting attacked in their own guild hall, as you can see right here.
I like how they were.
And they're like, oh, I hope that they can't come in.
Oh, Ezen Crow's in here.
You see them flag purple. And then they end up and Steven and then they end up getting killed. And this is what I talk about. This is the kind of content that it cannot be created by a developer. Like the random, you're in your guild hall and all of a sudden your guild hall gets raided. Like, you really want to talk about role playing. Open world games that have PvP in them are the ultimate source of role playing, where you can role play, as a real thief and a real bounty hunter within an MMO with thousands of players. If you wanted to be, the masked murderer sort of individual, you could. If you wanted to role play as, bounty hunters or assassins, etc., anything like that, where you were a group that either hunted down these individuals or you were the group who were, basically wanted to, like set up on a road somewhere and be the highwayman and extract resources from players, or you'd kill them. And you could do that. You could do that. I mean, that's one of the beautiful things about having a PK system in an MMO. But then, of course, there's always the drawbacks of losing your gear, of losing XP, which I'm not sure if they do that. I'm sure there will be some sort of negative consequence, as there was in Lineage 2. There was a negative consequence. The more you PK'd someone, the longer it took for you to work that karma off. The only way that you were able to do that is either you were to be killed, and when you got killed, you lost XP, or you had to go out and earn XP. But the problem was that if you PK'd somebody, you could drop your gear. So whatever was in your bag or whatever was on your character had the ability to be dropped if you were killed while basically having karma, like that player that was red that I showed you from before. Some of the other cool stuff was there's like another PK. They show like the housing system, and way back when, I have not heard this phrase, but they do this huge raid, right? So they basically do this huge raid with the entire server. They ended up killing the dragon, and then something that I remember long from my Lineage 2 days and from Ion, you'll hear him talking about the loot.
I don't know. I'm trying to get it. Somebody ninja'd the loot.
Somebody ninja'd the loot. I have not heard that phrase in years. It's been years since I've heard ninja loot. Ninja loot is back. And so is open world PvP in Ashes of Creation.